Welcome back to the Prosperity Portal. I'm the mystical misfit, and this is another stream of consciousness, but with a little bit of a twist. Feels almost like a lecture. I'm not gonna hold you. um, I am a cultural steward, a spiritual steward, who recognizes that, like, my life, it has to flow by the rhythm of nature, by the rhythm of what's above us, or technically below us. And choosing to take the route where you show up and you lead, but you do it with integrity. I recognize that it's the rare thing to do because it does come with great responsibility. Choosing to lead and not lead with your own self interest in mind is a very brave thing to do. It's a very rare thing to do because we exist in a world that has conditioned human people, humans, to believe that this is a dog eat dog experience, that this is all about survival, that this is all about self preservation, and choosing to see yourself as someone who exists in a world full of people who are all out for themselves, but believing that maintaining integrity is what ultimately can shift things. People would say it's a crazy thing to do. It doesn't come with reward that people are typically used to glorifying, but it comes with a clean conscience. It comes with knowing that everything that you need will be provided to you. It comes with understanding that the difference that you make, it may take some time to really fully see that come to fruition. Sometimes impact is, it's a gradual thing. I knew as a kid that I was never going to sell out for money. I knew that I never wanted to be controlled by money. I knew that I didn't care about the things that I was beginning to see were going to really have a stronghold on society. And being born with depth is, it's an alienating thing in a world full of people who are just trying to survive. But when your survival is contingent upon somebody else's suffering, I don't think that it's not survival to me. It doesn't even make sense to me. And spirit has been waking me up a lot lately, um, at specific hours. And during these times that I'm waking up, I'm faced with the same questions. And these questions are ultimately trying to better understand not where do we go from here, but how do we get enough people on the same page to recognize that the change that we're seeking, the only way that it can happen is if first we face our inner demons, right? You got to look within. You can't be looking at everybody else. You got to meet those shadow parts of you and reconcile them. Because then there will be no mentality of, okay, let me be in self preservation mode. You will see that your survival, it only activates when everybody around you gets the same advantage. Like, you shouldn't have to come into this world surviving in the first place because this is a temporary 3D experience. Nothing about Earth was meant to be rooted in capitalism. And because we have not chosen to defy this infrastructure, we have been faced with the same cycle over and over and over again. Everybody just trying to survive. But aren't you tired of thinking about, strategy on how you're going to scale your business and strategy on how you're going to get ahead and strategy on how you're going to get out of this bad situation? Aren't you tired of just getting by in general? Aren't you tired of having to always be calculating? Aren't you tired of feeling like your life isn't even your own because you owe somebody something everywhere you turn around? I get why I've always felt so emotional because this is an emotional experience to be in a world full of people who are convinced that the only way that they can truly live is to play by the rules that were told to them. It's like it's hard to witness people choosing less than what they could actually have. And of course, people will call me crazy for believing that I can have more than what people around me believe they can have. Of course, they're going to think I'm crazy. And I love that for me. I want to be crazy in a room full of people who believe that they're limited. I want to be crazy in a room full of people who believe that they have to do the same thing that the people before them did. What if there was another option? What if you didn't have to choose to be corrupt? What if you didn't have to sell out? What if there was another path? And a lot of you resist the idea of this. You reject it because it just doesn't seem possible. But what if that's exactly why people like me exist, is so that you could believe that it's possible? What if people like us exist because we have to be the rejects? We have to be the outsiders. We have to be outcasted in order to create real change. So what if I was the one with the most sense all this time? And we've just been looking at it all wrong. Well, she's not falling in line, so she must be crazy and she must be this. But what if those things were the exact things that we needed in order to truly get ahead? What if we could live in a world where everyone has the same advantages? What if we could live in a world where our time wasn't equivalent to, okay, you can survive? What if you didn't have to work a 9 to 5 anymore? And what if money wasn't contingent upon output in at all? These are the questions that a lot of capitalistic folks never want to be put out in public. This is why they want to silence people like me, because they don't want people like me to put even implant a little glimmer of hope, a little glimmer of possibility. They don't want that happening. It's forbidden for people to deviate from the way that things have been for far too long, because then they lose the advantage. But what if we've been seeing this thing all wrong? bowing down to our superiors. What superiors? The only thing superior to me is nature itself, not another human or an alien or whatever the hell some of these things are walking in these skin suits. I've been thinking about this because, I don't feel comfortable existing in a world where I gotta play by the rules. Why? These rules suck. They don't make any sense. Because at some point, these rules always equate to a group of people have to lose, a group of people have to suffer. I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with anyone having less than anybody else just because, history said. That's ignorant. I'm not a puppet. I'm not someone who can be controlled, especially not something as frivolous as money. They made this shit up. We can make some shit up too. Listen, I can write down right now. I can take my book and my pen and I can do like this. Money. This is the concept of it. This is how it works. This is how you get it. I can create a whole entire infrastructure the same way they did for America. So what would determine whose infrastructure is followed? Maybe we don't have to live like this anymore. And maybe that's exactly why the misfits have to finally be heard. Because this is not by choice that I'm still showing up for people. Because if I had it my way, I wouldn't show up at all anymore because I feel like it's just been too much done. But I also recognize that I came here for a very specific purpose, and that is so that things can truly change. I'm here to pivot things. I'm here with a group of other souls here who are here to pivot things. We're not here to follow the rules. A group of people made these rules up. And then somewhere along the line, everybody just said, okay, yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll follow that. That sounds like the best course of action. No one's considered the fact that if we continue to play by way of this infrastructure, people are going to consistently lose. And we can justify our thinking and our belief system by a billion different reasons. But ultimately, if we look at this from a human standpoint, if you truly have empathy, if you truly have a soul, you can't feel okay with the fact that in order to win in life, others have to lose. But do we truly learn if we come here to compete against each other and then eventually just die? We come here to temporarily hold on to some shit that we can't even permanently hold on to, and then we think that that is the ultimate success. Well, I gained $1 million. I was watching this show, and it was making me angry actually, because I was watching the show, and I watched how this show was basically it was called Trust or something like that. But the show was a certain amount of money was put into a trust, an account, whatever, and a group of people had to get to the end of the however many weeks as a group in order to have the money. And you could vote people out, or you could not vote at all. And if you voted people out, that was kind of going against the group because the intention was to be able to trust each other, even when tempted with decisions that led to gaining. And, you know, I was getting angry because there were some palm colored women on the show that started being victims, acting like victims to justify their behavior towards the black women who they were saying were threats. And you stabbed me in the back. And I was just getting so upset because I'm like, this is what they do. And this is not to discriminate against those people. What is to say, though, is highlighting a specific set of behaviors. We see how certain groups of people have become stigmas for certain things. And I think that it's very damaging to have certain people have certain types of power, certain types of access, especially knowing the way that they think, knowing the way that they feel, and knowing the history which precedes them. I think that we need to start looking at our own morality and thinking real hard and long about whether or not this makes sense in the long run. Why come here to be born, be a baby, grow up through life, all just to fight to be the one who had the most? Does this really make sense? Or is there a deeper purpose? Is there something more substantial and more sustainable that we've been overlooking for millennia? And maybe we haven't been overlooking it. Maybe our ancestors knew exactly what the hell I'm saying right now. And maybe that's why I have this fire in me, why I was born with this fire in me. Because perhaps there were people who knew that some will be corrupted by the concept of money, by the entire infrastructure that America was stolen and built upon. Or, perhaps these people that came before me, my ancestors, your ancestors, for those of you who are indigenous people, perhaps they not only knew something but had access to certain pieces of technology that could truly change the course of humanity, put people in a position to all be able to thrive. But when there's a group of people who feel inferior to others, it's always going to be a real, real dangerous game. I don't believe that my ancestors wanted to play a game. I believe that they wanted to really just enjoy being here in this human experience. Really just be here stewarding the land, because they did do that at some point. They did. I don't understand why it's so hard to get other people on the same frequency as me. But I'm not conflicted in the sense that I'm not enjoying being on the frequency that I am and recognizing what I recognize, but I also recognize that being on this frequency and reaping the benefits of being on this frequency, it doesn't help if everybody's not getting this. Like, I want everybody to be experiencing this, and not, by way of just, okay, give me the shortcuts, and I want people to do the work, face their shadows, and get to this point too. Because it comes a point where you gotta realize, like, damn, if I choose to play this game, I'm always going to have to be playing this game. That takes a lot of energy. To have to always be calculating in general takes a lot of energy. I know. I've had to calculate my whole life. Thing is I don't see myself as a victim, even though I've on many occasions been victimized. I don't use the experiences that I have overcome as a means to justify bad behavior, lack of integrity, etc., etc. I have to maintain my position, even if it's a rare position, because at the end of the day, I want to be able to sleep good at night. And even if I fail at being able to get other people to believe that better is possible and then start working towards having better, you know, at least I tried. At least I gave it my best fucking shot. I was never supposed to be anything but what I am now. And being the disruptor is not really a brag worthy position, you know? It comes with a lot. There's a lot weighing on this position. But also recognize that the reward is just as great as the risk. Because the reward is if people fucking start getting it together and realizing that we ain't the enemies, we the ones that's actually gonna make shit better. If people oblige, then we could truly have an experience that is listen, we could blow our own minds. The universe will conspire with us, but we gotta be conspiring for the greater good of all people. Can't just be, you know what, every man for himself. I see two real problems: the patriarchy and money. Maybe not value exchange. Value exchange isn't the issue. The issue is the concept of you gotta have X amount of dollars to have this, this, this. And when that's tied to basic human needs, the fundamentals that every human is entitled to, that's where we have a real moral dilemma. It shouldn't be illegal for people to not have money, yet they've created an infrastructure where a lot of people don't have money, which thus means that they don't have homes, which means that they a lot of times don't have access to food and clean water. And that is illegal in several states. It's illegal. When are we going to do something about this? We can't be like, well, one person can't change anything. Exactly. But if we all got together and thought about this from a totally different perspective, who knows where we could end up? And it's the fact that we keep focusing on how many people aren't thinking this way. And we're constantly focusing on all of the odds. Whereas we should be focusing on the possibilities and the things that we truly deeply desire too. We gotta focus on those things because where focus goes, energy is always gonna flow. So if you're always focusing on the odd man out, and I want a fucking award for being a noble soul. Hell, I don't need an award for a damn thing because I promise you, when I'm about this body, I'm not gonna think about this shit. What I seek is not validation or acceptance from humans. What I seek is change behavior in humans. I want to see humans acting like they human. No more predatory behavior. No more selfish behavior. See, the things that people benefited from when they were connected to me were also the things that they thought were weaknesses. And now I believe that people are recognizing that those were not weaknesses at all, they were great strengths. And it's a strength to be able to be kind in a world where people just naturally aren't kind. It's a strength to be so selfless in a world where people are very selfish, very stingy. It's a strength. It's a strength to give people the opportunity to show you who they are, opposed to just passing judgment on them because of how they look. I may have been a little naive in my days, because I am so optimistic. But that didn't come with lack of awareness and discernment. It's just my optimism a lot of times. It was the louder voice. Because I just wanted to find a way to make it real. Sometimes I had to prove my own intuition wrong. Like, no, you're wrong. It's not possible. People aren't this bad. What I want now more than ever is real change. I'm not talking about legislation. First, people themselves have to change, right? And then after people change, we see where we are. On the grand scheme of things, how are we adding up? What do people need right now? Besides the obvious, housing. We can rewrite this entire experience. The human experience can be something entirely different, but it's really up to us to converge. Will we? I don't know. I hope we do. Okay, I got my fingers crossed. But I don't know. I'm going to do my part. I recognize that being the founder of such a massive ecosystem, this is the opportunity to do something different. And maybe it's my fault for downplaying this for too long. He keeps saying I'm a business owner. I'm not a business owner. I have built an entire ecosystem. An artist looking out for other artists, but also a spirit having a human experience looking out for all the other spirits having human experiences. Somebody got to do it. I'm not the weakest link. I never believed that anyway, though. I've seen myself overcome things that it'd be hard for people to even read. I've seen myself experience loss after loss and still not become a product. I never wanted to have everything in the world anyway, but I always wanted to have enough, you know? That's why I've always been willing to work hard, even when I was fucking tired. But I feel what I want to leave behind, when I leave the world behind, is access to a different human experience. One that does not require you to always be working. Perhaps the real answer is working together. Because a lot of us are fucking brilliant. So all we do really need is a little collaboration. human connectivity. When I leave the world, I'm going to leave it better than what I found it in some way, shape, or form. And I really hope that the people who I've encountered on this journey, I hope that they take that and use it as a means for their own inspiration. You know what? Let me do that too. Let me leave something behind that makes this world a little bit better. Just in case you ever want to come back here again. I know I'm not. Okay, I've had my fun with life experiences, at least in this form. I'm good. This has to be my last lifetime because, like, I can feel it. I can feel it. It feels very okay. This is probably why it has always been evident to me that I've had so many lives. I've always been tapped into them. Didn't know that as a kid. I didn't know, hey, you're remembering your past lives. These dreams are about the past and the future. But knowing what I know now, it makes me feel peaceful with all that I've experienced because I recognize that even the villains, okay? The villains in my story, they had a purpose too. Just like any time that I've been the villain in somebody else's story, there was a purpose for it all. And I think the ultimate goal is to not become complacent, cold, calculated, condescending. The real challenge is to rise above when your ego tells you, no, I gotta get my get back. I gotta get my clap back. I gotta get my revenge. I got a lot of notes here, a lot of messages that have been coming through. And they, again, all circle back to the same thing, but I have to say something. A lot of these messages, it's almost as if I'm recognizing that even in the times that I thought I had, misstepped or took a wrong turn, like these notes are proof that everything that I've been doing, even when it felt like, oh my gosh, what type of plot twist is this? Like, I've always been exactly where I was supposed to be. And there has been other forces that I was aware of, but also wasn't clearly capable of naming and deciphering what they were, where they were coming from, etc., etc. Now I know. Now I know. Which makes me feel like everything that I'm saying right now, I'm saying it because I know that something is going to happen. And even if, again, it's not everybody, but it's enough to where a real movement is happening, I'm going to be happy as fuck. All of these notes let me know that, like, I feel these ways that impacted me. Like, listen, she's different now, so it's not just okay. I gotta save everybody, but like the impact of me has been screaming at me because there is something about all of this that's like by you not buying into the spell, because that's what I feel it is anyway. Especially when you pledge the allegiance to the flag, not being part of the illusion is what cracks the illusion in the first place, and perhaps it doesn't show right away. You still see people doing fucked up stuff, but like perhaps this is the beginning of the spell fully being broken. Because everything in me, it's so much bigger than my life. Like I think that people have had it in their minds that you think you're this and that, and it's like the thing is I know exactly who I am, but I don't quantify who I am in relation to somebody else's value. Like it's not about me being bigger than someone else. It's not about me being bigger than the program. It's about me having morality when everybody around me has chosen to sell theirs. That outcast, that one outsider, can be the one that changes every single thing, because all it takes is one. And I know this to be true because I've seen it manifest in my lifetime and time again. A lot of times I have been the ringleader. Okay, well, Omi says she ain't doing this, so well, I'm not gonna do it either, because if she ain't doing it, well, this must be a reason why she ain't doing it. I've watched people follow my lead, and I'm not saying that in a brag worthy way. I'm just saying that I recognize that my decisions are influential because people trust that I'm going to do the right thing. That means something. That means something. I also had a revelation today. And for those of you, the OGs of the Prosperity Portal, y'all know, like, I love a good shadow work session. This wasn't really shadow work, but it was just like a shadow revelation coming up, where I realized that, in a way, I've been my own enemy in times, at times, right? And it was because I was writing, and this what I wrote here is all from what was triggered while watching this damn trust show I was talking about. But basically, what I was recognizing is there was a woman on there who I'm like, damn, she kind of giving me, like, I'm seeing me and her, and like I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it so much to the point where I started to get emotional. But the point that I'm making is she had the opportunity to choose one thing or choose the other thing, and she chose the other because self-preservation, worried about that, there could be that one person that goes against me, there could be that one person that conspires against me. I don't want to trust this person, I don't want to trust these people because they've already stabbed me in the back once. This is the concept. So what she did was she made a decision that it did end up being a bad decision, but like, one could say, was that really morally the best choice to make if you're ultimately going against the group and deceiving them in some way? But I'm like, shit, the whole group was deceiving each other. Everybody was being hypocritical on that show. But also, the crazy thing is, because I'm looking at the behind the scenes of the show. Obviously, I'm not experiencing the show from the experience that they had while it was happening. I'm seeing that this woman is thinking that a particular ally of hers was against her, and the ally wasn't against her at all. But I recognized why she was moving the way she was moving, just in case, because the ally had already shown in a way she could be swayed. So I was looking at my own life and weighing it up, and not in the sense like, oh, but like some experiences came into my psyche where it comes to trust and where it comes to discernment, you know, intuition telling you something, telling me something, and people's actions telling me something. And I recognize how in the past there's situations where I just didn't fucking trust a particular person or particular people. And I'm like, nope, I'm not fucking with it. I just don't trust it. I would rather take the chance and be wrong about the fact that I can't trust this person than trust this person and be, Because I know what that feels like to be on the other end of that. I know what it feels like to be wrong about people. And time again, I've blamed myself for not listening to my first mind. But my point that I'm making, there's been times that my experiences and my desire to protect myself have sabotaged connections that could have been fruitful. Or who knows? I don't know if they could be fruitful. I couldn't really tell you that. But I can say they have sabotaged connections in order to protect myself. And that information didn't make me think anything deeper, to be honest, except for the fact that, we really got to do something about our ability to trust one another. And I believe that our ability to trust each other, it really stems from the idea that we have to all figure out how to get ahead. Some thinking about how they can get ahead before the other person that's next to them gets ahead. But it goes back to what I started this by saying. If we didn't exist in a dog eat dog world, if we didn't exist in a world where it's everyone for themselves, then we probably would have a little bit more trust. The incentive for selling somebody else out for betraying them is currency. And for some, status. But that's not good enough for me. And I think I'm in a season of my life now where I recognize that trust is going to be hard to build with people. But the thing that I can do is continue to not just give my word, but show people, bring people behind the scenes. This is what I've been doing with this ecosystem that I've built. Bringing people in and letting them see what's happening, how things are coming in, how they're moving, who earns, who benefits. I'm not running a corporation. No. In fact, I don't want to run shit at all. But what I've built is something that gives everybody a fair chance. This compound vision that I have is an opportunity for us to all build with each other, not just talk about it, but actually be doing it, because we understand that in order for the ecosystem to thrive, we all have to collaborate. It can't be an every person for themselves ecosystem. So that is my greatest accomplishment. And your greatest accomplishment can be that you choose to defy what you've been taught you must obey. You don't have to follow the infrastructure, but you also don't have to be a bad guy. You don't have to be morally corrupt. You can choose to be one of the good ones. And I don't think that requires you to have to prove yourself, defend yourself. I think that requires you to just keep on showing up for people. That's why the ecosystem that I've built is human-centered. It's not focused on, are we going to gain $20,000 by selling X amount of things? Like I said, I refuse to be controlled by money. It doesn't eliminate value exchange from the conversation. It eliminates people feeling like they have to have currency in order to have access. That's a power move. So I'm going to be going I don't know if I'm going to be doing that today, but I'm going to be going live on House of Wolf's channel at some point. I'm going to be posting some more information about the ecosystem. You're going to be seeing more media from us through Planet Wolf. You're going to see us talking about things like currency. We're going to be talking about the wealth hoarders. We're going to be talking about housing. We're going to talk about equality. We're going to talk about New Earth altogether. Because as a creative, this is ultimately why we create. We create because we want to not just tell our stories, but we want to actually shift the narrative. And art is the way to do that. That is what inspires people to change their mindset, to evolve their belief system. If you believe that you deserve better, claim it. And start building with other people who believe that they deserve better too. And recognize that in order for you to thrive, it doesn't mean that you have to watch other people suffer. Mm-mm. We can all have it all. There's literally enough for everybody to have what they need. I'm ready. I've been ready. And as a steward who never plans on being controlled by money, never plans on being controlled by status, because I don't give a fuck about your social standards. You can trust that at the end of the day, even when no one's looking, I'm always going to be conspiring for the greater good of all people. Anybody that conspires against me, I don't think I need to complete that sentence because you know. All right, y'all. I don't know where this channel is going. I don't even know if it's going anywhere at all. And when I say that, I mean it's been the consistent thing that I've said over the time that I've had this channel, right? You've seen this channel have astrology every day and tarot every day, and then you've seen this channel have motivational speeches and podcasts, and you've seen this channel have a multitude of things, come through these doors. And this isn't the only way to access people, but Spirit puts it on my heart for a reason to do certain things. And I follow because I'm not really thinking about the outcome, because I recognize that if I do anything in good favor and in good faith, right, with the right intentions, it's going to land with somebody. And sometimes it just takes one person. So I'm wishing for the best. I'm hoping for the best, but we gonna see what y'all end up doing later. I'm rooting for you. I swear I am. I think I'll be back a little bit later. This is Clarity Week for House of Wolf, so we don't do anything output wise. So I'll have these next few days to just be um, doing what I need to do for the ecosystem, but also I'll have more time to be sitting and thinking about what I need to do for the collective. Okay, because I recognize that there's a lot of people who are gonna get on the internet and role play, but there are people who very much so benefit from my presence. They benefit from my authenticity, from my rawness. You know, I don't want to just think about the fact that I feel irritated by people at times because of the way that they think. I want to think about the fact that all it takes is one person to choose something different, to believe in people. Sometimes that's all people want, is to be believed in, you know? And I recognize how powerful that has been for people in the past. Not because I'm saying it, because people have come back and told me time and time again. Only you took the time to do this and this and this and this, and because of this, this is what has happened as a result. When people share with me the things that they choose after encountering me, it makes it all feel worth it. So I get up here because I know I have to. Because I still believe, I'm still optimistic enough to believe that no matter how many corrupt people there are in the world, there are enough good people in the world. They may be scattered, okay, and spread out, okay? Sometimes it may feel like finding a needle in a haystack, but they are there. They are there. And when two or three are gathered, mm, mm, that's the real magic. Your heart gotta be right. If your heart ain't right, it ain't never gonna equate to goodness. But if your heart is right, I'm telling you, whoo. You ever seen three light beings, light workers in a room together? Just beaming. Just, ooh. You ever seen that? Child. Anyway, I'll be back. I do believe that I'm gonna end up doing a live stream a little bit later for the collective, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But again, I don't know where this is going. It's definitely not going to be what we've seen in previous years because we're not there anymore. You know, we've grown so much. Anybody that has really been on this journey, I'm talking about those of you who did the who's doing the Misfit series with me, the Misfit Method series. Those of you who did the Assumption Magic series with me, anybody who was part of the Prosperity Portal Discord, okay, if you're part of the Prosperity Portal Patreon when I was doing the private readings over there, which that's another thing I'm gonna start doing a lot more private readings again, but not like zodiac signs and things like that. But I'm gonna keep those over on the House of Wolf the House of Wolf Patreon now. But anyway, um, I will be back. I will be back. I will be back. And I am rooting for you. Whoever's on the same type of time I am, and I know that there are people out there. Again, it may seem like it's far and few, but just focus on the ones that are on that with you, okay? Don't let these dark, twisted entities consume you. And I know it gets dark, it gets hard. I know. Trust me, I know. I be peeping, and I'm like, God, I'm sick of this shit. Then it's like, damn, what good would it be for anyone if I come here, survive all the shit that I've survived, just to leave, dip out before real change actually happens? So I'm gonna keep fighting. All right. Um, I love y'all. You know, I haven't said that I love y'all in a while because I ain't really been feeling that I've been connecting with the people that are my people again. I recognize having such an extensive absence made it like, you know, okay, I guess she ain't coming back. Listen, I flow however the you know, I just be moving with the ebb and the flow. Okay. So sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off, sometimes it's in between, you know. But I really, really believe in us. That's the thing. I really believe in us. And the thing is the love that I have for myself is so immense. So I can't, even when I'm irritated, say I can't stand y'all or I hate y'all, because I don't. I recognize that a lot of people have just been brainwashed, conditioned. Some people are living in survival mode, and I want to change that because I've changed that for myself. And that's what drives me, y'all. That's what drives me. What drives me is recognizing that my biggest flex is being able to say that I didn't sell out and that I'll never sell out because ain't nothing to sell out for. I would not want to be a part of that mess that they got going on in their reality. It don't look fun. Okay, why you think I was talking shit to the people in Hollywood when I was out there? I'm like, y'all suck. Y'all lame for real. Y'all are lame. I said, let me stop being problematic. Let me stop. But it's true. It's very lame. It's very. Ugh. I think we could do this. I think we could do this. It's just having a different approach. Listen, we gotta take all that strategy for those of us who've been surviving and who learned strategy through survival. We gotta take all of that now and use it to our advantage in a different way. Not a how can we beat everybody else, but like how can we create something where nobody has to feel like they're against each other, where nobody has to feel like there's any opponents, you know? How can we create something where it doesn't feel like a game or like a motherfucking hamster wheel, you know? Maybe not a utopia, but shit, something close to it. So, okay, y'all, I'm gonna be quiet. I'm just in my. I love to dream and imagine what the world could be, and being in this energy, it feels so nice, you know, because it takes me to a different reality, a different frequency, which is listen, that is part of quantum jumping. I'm gonna tell you. How you think my reality be changing, especially right when shit is getting real bad? It's like whoop. But I'm feeling very optimistic. I'm feeling very sparked up right now, and I just believe that things can really take a turn for the better, even though they look so dark right now. So I love y'all, and I will be back soon. Until then, though, spend a little time with yourself. You know, ask yourself if you could have a world built on your ideals, on your imagination, what would it look like? What kind of world would you build in replacement of what we see now? If you could, no limitations. Just for a minute, use your imagination and dream a new world. Who knows? One day it may actually be real. Talk soon.